15 hari bulan Mac. So, kita ada lagi 3 orang yang belum join. Boleh kita tunggu sekejap? Sehingga yang lain juga join. Okay.
Okey, doktor.
So, kita tunggu dalam 5-6 minit lagi. Sampai 8.30 kita akan mula. How are you? I hope everybody okay and ready to join our class today. Before we go to the content of our discussions today, I would like to have two announcements. One announcement and one point to get your idea. The announcement is on 22, to this coming Saturday. We are going to have a talk or a lecture by Dr. Kwan from Vietnam. He is going to share with us about the Vietnam economy. Here, so I cannot share the poster yet because I found out that the poster that our officer create have some mistake point. So I will share with you the poster later. But on 22, we will have the lecture by Dr. Swan via the WebEx. He's going to give a lecture about 1 hour from 10 to 11. But so that is the point. So for that lecture, I would like you to invite your friend. So please invite your friend to join that lecture. I hope every student, so each student will invite at least 2 members. Okay, 2 members. So please invite your friend to join that lecture. On 22, so I will share the poster tomorrow. Okay? So I will ask our officer to make some amendment to the poster, and then I will share with you. You got it? Do you understand? You got my explanation, my info? Zakaria, you got it? Okay, I finish. Thank you. Awni, alright.
Yeah, doctor.
So how about the others? Okay, Alia. So give your finger if you understand my explanation. Alright, thank you, Zakaria. So I hope everybody now understands. So the point is that on Saturday we will have a lecture by Dr. Tuan from Vietnam. And then we want each member to invite 2 friends to joining the lecture. Okay? Today. So that lecture will be open to all. Okay. Not only students, everybody who want to know about the global trade. Okay. So I will share the poster about that next week. Tomorrow, in fact. It's already read by our officer, but there are some mistakes. And then the second point is that we have only two classes, so next week and the following week. So before the end of this semester, I would like to have the face-to-face class. I found out that next week is the best, better than the following week because the following week will be the ID future. So may we have the face-to-face class on 22, okay? Even though we have the lecture, online lecture at 1 from 10 o'clock. So may we have 22 as our face-to-face lecture? Okay. Can we have that lecture, face-to-face lecture on 22? Okay, Afini, how about Mus?
Okay, okay, doctor. Can.
Okay, Mus, okay. Zhao,
Okay, doctor.
please just come. Okay. Perawali,
Okay, doktor.
okay. Alia, Safika,
Okay, doktor.
okay. All right. So on 22 we will have face to face, and then from 10 we open our what we call it Webex online. Because I give just 1 hour for the one to share with us. He's going to share about Vietnam economy, Vietnam trade, because we have seen the tremendous economic growth in Vietnam. So we want to know how Vietnam managed the trade and how Vietnam managed their economy. Okay, as part of our analysis for the uh, global trade issue. So thank you. So that's the point that I would like to discuss with you. So now today we are going to continue our discussions about the global trade, and today global trade and financial research. And today we are going to have a second chapter about the financial issues. Before we start our class, do you have any questions? Ada apa-apa soalan untuk tanya berkaitan dengan kelas kita yang lepas? Tak ada.
Ada,
Tak ada,
doktor.
Okey, tak ada. So kalau Afini kata tak ada, tu tak ada lah. Okay, thank you Afini. Alright. Alright. So now I would like to share with you our what we call it. Share screen. Okay, start broadcast. Okay. So now let me open our whiteboard for today. So let's go for our class. That is graduate, and then not. Okay. All right. So today we are going to discuss about the chapter 4 of our textbook. That is about money, uh, interest rate, that is R, and then exchange rate, X rate. So this is the topic that we are going to discuss today. Okay, the money, that is money market, money supply, money demand, and the relationship between the money market and interest rate, and then we are going to discuss the exchange rate. Okay. So last class we have already seen, we have already discussed the relationship between interest rate, okay, or rate of return, and the exchange rate. You have already uh, read about what we call it as interest parity. Interest parity condition, or also be called as interest parity theory. Okay? So the idea that interest should be equal between countries or between regions, and then if the uh, non-equilibrium point, then the money will flow between this region till the interest or the returns are equal. Okay? So we call it as interest parity condition. Now today we are going to open chapter 4. In chapter 4, we are going to see we are going to see the what we are going to see in chapter 4 is that first we are going to see the relations between money, okay, and interest rate, okay, or R. And we also going to see money and what is our second point. Okay? We are going to see money and Y. There is NP or GDP. And then we are going also will see money and price labor. Okay, or I can say CPI. So we are going to see the relationship between money, okay, and factor that in turn it will affect the money and exchange rate. Okay? So we are going to see the relation between money and those factors, and then at the end we are going to see how it affects the exchange rate. This is the point, but these are the points that we are going to see in chapter 4. Okay? Chapter 4. So please read chapter 4 later, uh, and you may understand the point that we are discussing tonight. Okay. So you hold a money, okay? And everybody hold money. Not only you, but also firm and all people hold the money. So the money that people hold, the money that people want, or the money that all want, we call it as the aggregate. Aggregate money fund. Okay? So we use this term, aggregate money demand. So aggregate means all money. Okay? Money that firms want, money that individual we as a people want. So all money we call it that aggregate. So money, yes, is the currency that we want, that we hold. So demand is, yeah, the money that we want to hold. So aggregate money demand. So everybody want money. But the point that we are going to discuss is that we want the money, but at some point we want to hold the currency. But another point, we want to deposit our money. We want to invest our money because we investing or we depositing our money, we get the interest rate. Okay, we get the return. So I may say that sometimes we want to hold the money, and on another time we want to use the simple way that is we want to invest, or we want to deposit. Okay? So when we have money, whether we want to hold it in cash or we want to invest or to deposit our money because we want the return. We want the interest rate. Yeah. Now, let's go back to the money demand. Money demand simply can be formulated by this formula. MD means money demand equal to P times the L, R, and Y. Okay? So P times L, and L is a function of R and Y. This is the money demand. We want money because we want to buy something and because we want to invest. Right? So that is the money demand. So this is the point. This is the main point. So this is the main point that you need to memorize. Main point here. Okay? That's the main point. Money demand is P equal to money demand is equal to P times L. And L is a function of R, that is interest rate, and Y, that is GNP, or the output of a country. And then, with this formula, if we divide money demand with P, okay, so we got it as what we call it real money demand. Real money demand. Or real money. Okay. So why we call it real here? Because we divide with the price level. We divide with price level. The money that we hold, we divide with price level, we call it as real money. Real money demand. So this is the first point that you need to memorize. The formula of so this is the aggregate money demand. So this is the aggregate money demand. So this is what we call it aggregate money demand. So now let's see the relationship between MD divided by P, the real money demand, and the interest rate. This can be illustrated, okay, as in figure 4.1. Okay, there is R and aggregate real money. Aggregate real money. We found out that the relationship can be illustrated as follows. Okay? If we assume y is constant, let's assume y is constant, or we can say y bar. We found out that as the interest rate goes down, then real money goes up. Okay? And interest rate goes up, aggregate real money or aggregate real money demand goes down. Okay? So this is the first relationship that we can conclude here. Okay? So conclusion here is that if R goes up and then aggregate money demand goes down. Okay? And then if R goes down and aggregate money goes up. Okay, this is the relationship between aggregate real money demand and the interest rate. Okay. Why? Because if we have money and real interest rate is higher, then we tend to put our money, we don't want to hold money. Okay? Why? Because we want to invest it to the bank. We want to deposit our money. But if interest rate low, then we want to hold the money. Why? Because we don't, because of the low return of the deposit or the investment. Okay? So this is the relationship between R and aggregate real money demand. You can find it in figure 4.1 in our textbook. So simply, you may imagine that if you have money, you have, let's say, 1 million ringgit. Okay? If interest rate is low, then you don't want to deposit your money. You want to hold your money. But if interest rate is high, then you want to put your money in the bank. Okay? Why? Because you can get a better return. Right? So that is the first relationship. Very straight point of the behavior if we hold money and then whether we want to hold it when the interest rate higher or when the interest rate is lower. Okay? And the second point that we can see is the relationship between interest rate and the economy or the GNP or the output. Okay? This is illustrated in figure 4.2, where we can see the relationship between interest rate R and the real money demand, okay? Aggregate real money demand, where we can see that now we assume that Y is changing. Okay, so Y change from, let's say, Y1 to Y2 is a higher Y, meaning that the NP increase. So we found out that when the NP increase, the curve change from L1 to L2, where L1 which R and Y1 and L2 which R and Y2. Okay? We found out that similar R, but the real money demand increase because of the increase in output. Okay? So there is the relationship between R and Y. Okay? Between R and Y. But in some point, we may also see that R may change if the in the fixed real money demand or fixed real money supply, R will change if the Y increase. Okay? So the relationship between Y and R is that R increase and Y increase, and if R decrease and Y decrease. We found out that the relationship between JNP or Y with R is there, or with the demand is there. As demand increase, Y increase, and then demand increase. Okay. The conclusion here is should be Y increase and the aggregate demand increase, and Y decrease, the aggregate demand decrease. And aggregate demand of money decrease. So in the modern economy, starting in beginning of the new era, we found out that money demand and the money supply determined by the market. So how much the money that people want to hold depend on the market, depend on the rate of return, and depend of the economic growth, or depend on the supply or the output, and also depend on the price. Okay? Depend on the CPI. We are going to see the relationship between aggregate money demand and CPI later on. Okay? At this stage, let's say we just put the point, there is the relationship between R and the aggregate demand, and the Y and the aggregate demand. Okay? So these are 2 points that you need to know. The first one, relationship between origin and the demand, and the second one is the uh, money demand or aggregate demand between what. Okay? Aggregate demand here is the aggregate demand for the money, not the output aggregate demand. So let me summarize the point that we have discussed so far. So today our point is to see the effect of money. Yes, the money that you are holding now. If you are Malaysian or in Malaysia, you hold ringgit Malaysia. Or if you are in your country, maybe you hold the renminbi and so on. So that money, how much you want to hold, or in general, how much you want the money, we call it aggregate money demand. So that is the word, that is the term that we use for it. And today we are going to see how this money as a whole affects the exchange rate. Now, how it affects the exchange rate? In order to see that fact, we need to know the effects of this money to the interest rate and this money to the GNP or the output in total, or and this money to the price. Okay? So this is very important because nowadays we need to know the effects of money exchange rate in order to understand the effects of the interest rate in other countries. Okay, so last class we just uh, assume that interest rates are given, but today we are going to see how interest rate change as the money demand and money supply change. Okay, so the first point today we have seen the relationship between money demand and the return and money demand and the GNC or Y in this case, also be called as the output. So now let's see the second point again. There is the equilibrium, the equilibrium interest rate, or how the interest rate be determined by the money market. The equilibrium interest rate. The equilibrium interest rate. So by looking at the interaction between money demand and money supply. Money demand and money supply. Okay. So now our second point is to see the relationship between money demand and money supply. So straight to the point, we assume in the money market out there, how much money supply being worked by central bank is equal to the money demand. So in equilibrium, we may say that money demand, the money that people demand, that firms demand, or we call it as aggregate money demand, must equal to the money supply. Okay. In equilibrium. So this is conditions out there. Money supply must depend, must equal to money supply. Thus, we may say, or we may write money demand as MD So, and money supply EMS. Okay? So money demand is equal to money supply. So this is the second point that you need to remember. Second main point. Main point. Second main point that we need to. Okay? So the first point here, and then there is the second point. Okay? I think you have learned this point somewhere before, but let's re-memorize this point. The money demand equal to the money supply. How determine the money supply? As you know, money supply be determined by, yes, central bank. Central bank. So for Malaysia, central bank is, yes, Bank Negara. For Malaysia, we call it Bank Negara. Okay. So Bank Negara actually determine the money supply. When we talk about money, I think you already know that money can be divided into three, M1, M2, M3, and so forth. In our textbook, it explains that point in the beginning of this chapter. So I hope you read yourself. And I know that you already know about the money supply, M1, M2, M3. Okay. So what is M1 and what is M3? And you know the functions of money, or the functions of money too. Okay. What is one of the functions of money? Anybody can give the functions of money? Most, do you know the functions of money?
It's a medium to exchange the goods.
Okay. So what we call it? What you call the term for that function?
What I call
Okay. So
buying and purchasing.
anybody can have most for that? Sherawali, you know the functions of money? Sherawali, are you there?
Yes, doctor.
Yeah. Sherawali, what is the central bank for the Indonesia? What is the name for
Bank of
name of
Indonesia.
Bank of Indonesia? Yes, Bank of Indonesia. Okay. So Bank of Indonesia is creating money. Okay. So they produce the money, right? So thank you, Sherawali. So please read yourself the functions of money and read yourself how the central bank create the money. Create the money meaning that supply the money. How the central bank supply the money. I don't want to discuss that point here. I think you have already learned it in your principal economics and during your undergraduate studies, or even in the banking or money. If you are our undergraduate, you may learn it during your macroeconomics, and also if you have taken money and central bank, the course that we call money and central bank. So you learn a lot about how the central bank control the money supply. So and then you know that central bank control the money supply, and money demand comes from, yes, come from us. But we want to hold money because of the return and because of the growth, and because of the economic growth, or because of the why we have seen in our last part. So now the market equilibrium in money market. So this is the conditions of market equilibrium in what we call it money market. Okay? But as money market. So central bank make sure that money demand equal to the money supply. Okay? In our textbook, as we are using the textbook by American, so the point of discussion refer the central bank as FRB. Okay? Have you heard this word FRB before? Zakaria, have you heard about FRB?
No, doctor.
Oh yeah. Oh, you need to know this one. Okay. So what is FRB? So what is FRB though? So FRB stands for what? Shafika, can you have? What is FRB? Shafika? Okay, so Shafika is not there or
Hello,
you have
yeah,
any
sorry.
idea? Sorry?
Betul.
What is
FRB,
FRB?
Federal Reserve Bank, Doktor?
Yes. FRB is Federal Reserve Bank. Federal Reserve Bank. So this is the name of central bank for America. So American call their central bank as Federal Reserve Bank. So please read about Federal Reserve Bank. So Federal Reserve Bank is one of the important, one of the most important central bank in the world, because when Federal Reserve Bank set the interest rate or set the money supply, okay, it will affect other countries. Okay? So first read our textbook and then find the other paper or article or video on YouTube about Federal Reserve Bank. Okay? The Federal Reserve Bank or FRB is very important. So any activities by Federal Reserve Bank will affect the entire world money market, even world investment, world interest rate, world economy. So that is the importance of Federal Reserve Bank. Because Federal Reserve Bank determines the what we call it as monetary policy. Monetary policy. So all the activities that be taken by central bank, we call it as monetary policy. The monetary policy of the Reserve Bank is very important. Yeah, bank negara also important to our country, but as our money market, our asset market, our capital market, relatively small to the world market, thus our effect to the entire market might be smaller than the effects of the money supply, interest rate, and so on, or the monetary policy of Federal Reserve Bank. Okay, so now come back to this formula. Okay, so this is what we call it as market equilibrium. Okay, we call it market equilibrium. So now, as we know that MD equal to MS, and we know that MD, as we have stated before, P times R, L that depend on R and Y. So we can say because MD equal to MS, does MS also P, L, R, Y. Okay. Thus, we can summarize that MS over P. There is, yes, real money supply. The real money supply. L, R, Y. Okay. So we can describe this relationship between MD, MS, and the R. Okay. There is R, and as we know, real money holding. So how much money that we want to hold is the relationship is L, R, Y, or this can be C as real money demand. So real money demand equal to real money supply in equilibrium. So this is the point. MS. So we have the vertical money supply because it is determined by the central bank. So the equilibrium point it determines the R. Okay. So MD equal to MS determine the R. MD equal to MS determine the R. So let's say this is point 1. So at point 1 is the equilibrium point. So at point 1 is equilibrium point. Okay? So let's put in green. Okay? So this is the equilibrium point and it determines the R. So let's say this is R1. How if the equilibrium point is 2 or at point 3? How about if the point is at point 2 or at point 3? How if the point is at point 2 or at point 3? So if at point 2, we found out that there is excess supply. We call it excess supply. The excess supply of money. Because money is point 1, but the demand is at point 2, so there is an excess supply of money. Okay? So because there are a lot of money, then the interest rate will going down. So the interest rate will decrease to 0.1 or R1. And how about at point 3? So at point 3, there is excess demand. And excess demand. There's demand, excess demand of money, but the supply is at 0.1, so the interest rate will go up to R1 because of the excess demand of money. So at the equilibrium point, if there is excess, then R will go down. If there is excess demand, then R will go up. Okay. So this is the conclusions that we can state here. So if one is the equilibrium, then if there is excess of money, then R will go down, or with excess supply. And then if there is excess demand of money, and then interest rate will go up. Here is excess supply. So this is the conclusion between money supply and money demand. So we can now memorize the point is that money supply at equilibrium equal to money demand. So if there is excess money supply, so there's a lot of money out there, then interest rates will go down. Okay. But if there is less money out there, and then interest rate will goes up. So that is the point. Okay. If we look the relationship between money supply and interest rate, okay? Money supply and the interest rate. All right. So now, let's stop our discussion for 15 minutes. Take a rest, and then we come back for the another for the uh, further discussions of money demand, money supply, and the interest rate. And then we are going to see the effect of the money supply and money demand to the exchange rate. But now let's take a rest, take a nap, take a rest or take a nap, rest for 15 minutes, just 15 minutes, okay? Yes, because I think better for you to take a rest today before we continue our discussion. Okay, so now take a rest about 15 minutes. So we'll start again at 9:37. 9:37.
Okay, doctor.
Okay. So have you taken a nice rest? Okay. So because our topic today quite hard, but it's very, very, very interesting. So we have seen the relationship between money supply, money demand, and interest rate. Or in short, we have seen the interest rate, the interest rate, and the money supply. The relationship between interest rate and money supply. So as you can see in figure 4.4 in our textbook, where it illustrates the relationship between money supply, the change of money supply, and interest rate. we found out that if the money supply increase, let's say this is the initial money supply, and S1 increase to MS2, okay, we found out that exchange rate will decrease. The exchange rate decrease from R1 to R2. Simply, exchange rate, interest rate will decrease. If government, if central bank produce a lot of money, print the money, so central bank print the money, create money. As you can see in our currency, Ringgit, you can see that Bank Negara printed money. So when the Bank Negara print a lot of money, then what happened? There is a lot of money in the market. So as a lot of money to market, the price of that money, I can see that there is a price of that money, there is interest rate. So interest rate going down. Interest rate is going down. So interest rate decrease. There's a lot of money out there. So that's what happened to the interest rate when the money supply increase or money supply decrease. So decreasing money supply will push. Okay. So that's the point. So we can conclude here. That if money supply increase, then R will decrease. And otherwise, money supply decrease, then interest rate will decrease. So this is one of the points that we need to know. Okay. Another point that you remember, and it's very important, relationship between money supply and the interest rate. You can imagine like this, that you have a lot of money, okay, and people have a lot of money. So there's a lot of money out there. Because of a lot of money, there's not only inflation, because we are not yet think about the price. We just see the relationship between money and so there are lots of money out there. But a lot of money out there, the interest rate is low. Why? Because you can easily borrow the money, and you can easily lend the money because nobody wants money. So that's why interest rate is low. Okay? So that's the point. So that's what happened out there. Because a lot of money, then interest rate is low. So that is the relationship that we can see between interest rate and so what we call it exchange rate. No exchange rate, interest rate and real money. So, okay, so now let's see. Okay, so this is the last one that I want to share with you today. One that I want to share with you today. So there is a relationship between wait a minute. there is the relationship between MY, R, and also MVR in this case. And what we have MS, in fact, the R because MS is equal to MB to M. In fact, it has a relationship to the R and Y. So let's omit the discussion Y and P. Let's focus on the MY and R. So our last point today for you to memorize is that the money supply, and this is the most important point for our discussion, money supply and exchange rate and money supply and exchange rate in short run. In short run. In our text. Money supply, yes, you already know what is the money supply. Exchange rate, yeah, the point that we have discussed last chapter. Okay, there is the currency price in term of other currency. Okay, so that is exchange rate. Okay, or some say that is the price of currency in term of other currency. The price of ringgit Malaysia in US dollar, the price on. And in short run, what is short run here? Short run here refers to the conditions that or the situations that the price. Okay, the price is constant. So the price is constant. So when the price is constant or the price level, or in the previous term we call price level, the price level is constant. Okay? Or the price level is given. Okay? Constant or given. When we think that the price level is not changed, we call it short run. If otherwise there is a price level is changed, then there is a long run. So when thinking about money market, the short run and long run refer to that point. Okay, you got it? So there is the difference between short run and long run. You got it? You got it, Most?
Yes, Doctor.
Most, are you
Yes.
there?
Yes.
So what is short run, Most?
The price is a constant level, Doctor.
Yes. No. The
Huh?
price level is constant.
The price level is constant.
Yes. Okay. Zhao, what is long run? Zhao, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, doctor.
What is the long run?
Long run.
The long run is when price level is not constant. Okay? So the price
Okay.
level will change. So now we thinking about the price level is unchanged. Okay? So there is
Okay.
the difference between short run and long run. Short run and long run. You got this, Zakaria?
Yeah,
Zakaria,
doctor.
are you there?
Yes, doctor.
Okay, you got it? The difference
Y-
between short run and long run?
Yes, doctor.
Yeah. Afini, you got it?
Yes, doctor.
Okay. Why we need to know this? Because we know that we use MS over P for the real money supply. So when we think P is constant, then real money supply just depend on this amount. Okay, how much the money, or we call it as nominal money, is supplied. Okay. When we divide with P, then we got the real money. Okay, so that is the difference. Okay. All right. So now gets back to our analysis. So money supply and exchange rate in the short run. Okay. Money supply in short rate. In short run, where we are going to see how the money supply affect the exchange rate. Okay, how the money supply affect the exchange rate. Okay, so how money supply affect the exchange rate. Okay, so now in order to put this point, we use figure 4.7. Okay, uh, 4.7. Okay, where we have the relationship between exchange rate, the current exchange rate, US to Euro, that's what we have in our textbook, and there is rate of return, rate of return in dollar. So this is the point where we have seen in our discussion last 2 weeks, and we discussed about the relationship between rate of return, okay, to the exchange rate. We found out that if the current exchange rate large enough or higher enough than the expected return on euro deposit is higher. Why? Because if the current, this is the current, so this is the current point. So this is the current exchange rate is higher, then future or expected exchange rate will be lower. Okay, this is the current X rate. Then we found out that those expected return will be higher. So, so we have this curve. We have this kind of curve. The relationship between exchange rate and the return of the deposit, okay, in other countries. Now, on the below diagram, we can illustrate, okay, the relationship between rate of return, or that is interest rate, to the US, okay, US dollar real money holding, as what we have here. Okay, real money holding. Okay, so actually what we are describing here is that this part, now we turn to here. Okay, or I can show to you that what we are thinking now is that, so this part, okay, we flip to this part. Okay, so the flip as follows. Okay, we flip this part. We found out that it illustrates the relationship between rate of return to to the what we call it, yes, relationship between US money holding and this curve is L Y, the liquidity that we have. So as we have seen, let's say this is the money supply. I'm at money supply in US. Okay, money supply in US. So let's put M supply US and price is US. So it determine the yes, it determines the interest rate here. So this is the interest rate. Then we found out that this interest rate determine the yes, determine the exchange rate here. Okay. So in this diagram, we came to show the relationship of money supply and the exchange rate. Okay, money supply and the exchange rate. So this is the equilibrium exchange rate. Let's say this is T1. Okay, here one, here this is the point. Okay, so in this diagram, we came to show the relationship between exchange rate and money supply. Because money supply affect the interest rate, then it affects the exchange rate. It affects the exchange rate, the current exchange rate. For this diagram, we show the effect in the current exchange rate. So we can say that this diagram, the below diagram, show the money market. Okay, money market. And the upper diagram, it shows the yes, forex market. Forex market. Okay. We have seen last chapter why the money flow from one country to others because of the asset. Okay? Or we call it asset approach. Because we want to buy the asset, okay, to deposit into other countries because of their return. Okay? So it affects the exchange rate. Okay? So now today we add one more point. How the exchange rate be depend on the money supply too. Okay, let's say if money supply now getting lower, okay, what happened to the exchange rate? Okay. So if money supply is here, let me put in red. Money supply now here. So what happened? So from here for the interest rate and the exchange rate now here at this point. Let's say this is second point. Point two. Okay. What have seen here? What we have seen here? Shafika, you have answer for this one? If money supply is lower, the bank negara reduce the money supply. So what happened now? You have any idea?
No,
Shafika?
doctor. No.
So in diagram, we can see that money supply is lower, then rate of return is higher. So what the effect to the exchange rate?
Depreciate.
Yeah,
The depreciate, doctor. Depreciate on the exchange rate.
depreciate. Are you sure?
Because
Afini, what do you
sorry,
think?
sorry. Doctor. Increase in money supply, doctor. Increase.
Then, most I can't hear you.
Back to the question. The point two meaning that increase on money supply, doctor. Is it right?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, this is
So
your point.
so in
So
this
how about Zakaria? What happened to exchange rate when the money supply is lower? Zakaria,
Appreciate.
sorry?
It will be increase.
What happened to exchange rate?
Hmm. Appreciate.
Appreciate. Yeah. You need to know that the directions of exchange rate there, if it goes down in the diagram, it shows the appreciate appreciation appreciation. But if the diagram shows goes up, in this case, it shows the
depreciation.
depreciation in this case. Okay. Why? Because we see this diagram from US dollar to euro, where we assume euro is one. Okay. So the change is on US dollar. Okay. So let's say at this point is 10 for one, and at this point, let's say 20 to 1. Okay, you got it? So 10 to 1 compared to 20 to 1, which is a lower in terms of exchange rate, in terms of US dollar to euro. 20 to 1 is lower US dollar. Okay, because we need 20 US dollar to get 1 euro. You got it, Mus?
Yes, doctor.
Yeah. Sharawali, do you understand my point here?
Yes, doctor.
Okay. Afini, you got it?
Yes, doctor.
Okay. Okay, and who are here more? Auni, you got it, Auni? Auni, are you there? Auni? Auni, are you there, Auni?
Yes, doctor, I got it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, so now let's put one more point. Okay. So what happened if, okay, let me put here, where you are? Okay. Okay, we know that this is the exchange rate. So now let's say that, okay, let's say that US create more money, and money supply in US now at this point. Okay, what happened to the rate of return and to the exchange rate? What happened? Zakaria, what happened, Zakaria, when US create more money, printing dollar, more dollar? So what happened?
To the interest rate, to the exchange rate.
So what happened to the interest rate and exchange rate of dollar when America produce more money, printing more money to increase the money supply? What happened?
The interest rate will go down.
Okay, interest rate will go down, and what happened to the exchange rate?
Oh. And depreciate.
Depreciate, yes. Okay, so we found out that, let me put it in pink. So here is the exchange rate, okay, and here is the, what we call it, exchange rate. Sorry, here is the interest rate, and here is the new exchange rate. So let's say this is 0.3. We found out that when government or central bank print more money, then what happened to the interest rate? That interest rate goes down, and then because of that, the exchange rate or current exchange rate are getting lower. Okay, getting lower and lower or depreciate. So that is the effect of money supply to the exchange rate. Okay. Have you seen this point before? I don't know, maybe yes or maybe no. Okay. Okay, maybe yes or maybe no. So there is the relationship between money supply and exchange rate. Okay, money supply and exchange rate.
Sorry, doctor.
So,
Sorry,
yeah,
doctor.
okay.
Can I have a
Hmm.
question?
Okay.
Is there any possible that the money supply will be increased without printing the money, doctor? Or this one the money supply is 100% controlled by the BNA apa central bank, doctor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. Uh,
Meaning
I don't want to have that point in detail, but
yeah.
one of the idea of money supply or how the central bank control the money supply is by printing the money. But there are also other point or other ways to increase or decrease the money supply. Alright? You
Yeah.
have learned that point.
Yeah.
Okay? So only by printing the money, also by set the reserve and so on.
Bond.
Okay?
Okay.
But the simple way is by printing the money. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever they do, it affects the interest rate, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yes, doctor.
By controlling the interest rate or by controlling the printing the money. But the point here, to make it easy, let's
Mm.
say they are printing the money.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. One more question, doctor. Okay.
Okay.
In this case, we know that uh, the 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 interest rate controlled by Bank Negara
Yes.
with the control by the money supply. So we know if the increase in money supply, the interest
Mhm.
rate will be decreased.
Yeah.
If they decrease the money supply, the interest rate will be increased. Okay,
Yeah.
but they have another situation that we have the money demand, doctor, money
Yeah.
demand. So this money demand, the money demand curve will be increased to the right if the real, what we call, if the real income increase. So once the real income increase, there is it they have the possibility that the interest rate will be increased, doctor.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
That one, if we want, that is the another point or the future point that we will discuss later
Ah,
when there is change in Y and change in P. Okay, but
okay.
in this stage we just assume Y and P is given. Then we just focus on the relationship between interest rate and the money supply.
Okay,
You got
doctor.
it?
Okay, doctor.
Uh,
Okay, thank
yes.
you, doctor.
But we can use the same idea here when we put a new L curve here. So when there is the change in Y, for example, okay, we still have, we still can analyze the effects of money supply and rate of return of the interest rate. You got it?
Yes, doctor.
Okay. So for others, the point that most raise up is that what happened when Y change or even the P change. Okay? That two point will be discussed later. But now we are discussing when there is a short run analysis. Short run meaning that there is no change in P. Price level is not changed. Okay. So as the price level is not changed, then the effect that uh, effect is the rate of return and exchange rate might be different, which the case if price level is changing. Okay. So now what we are focusing on is that the effect on money supply and the exchange rate. So we can conclude here. We can conclude here is that okay, when MS rise, so what happened to exchange rate? What happened to exchange rate? Mus, what
Uh,
happened to
exchange rates depreciate.
depreciate? Okay. Uh, so in other words, when money supply decrease, what happened to exchange rate? Afini.
Uh, exchange rate will increase.
Yes, exchange rate will decrease. Okay. So by using this diagram, we can see this relationship. Okay. So if you read in the web or even in our textbook, okay, in our textbook, it explains what happened in Zimbabwe. Okay? In Zimbabwe or even in Germany, Zimbabwe or recently in Zimbabwe or in Germany in 1920s when Germany lost to the World War II, not 1920, in 1940. Okay, so when German lost to the US or the uh, lost during the World War II, so we found out that Germany uh, was printing a lot of money. Okay, so it printing the money supply or it push the money supply that not equal to the money demand. Okay, so there is the excess of money out there, and because of that, the exchange rate of Germany was decreasing. Okay, so it affects the import, it affects the export. Although they can export cheaply, but they need to import at a higher cost, and because of that, there was the inflation. So that's what happened to Zimbabwe and Germany. That they uh, have faced the what we call it as hyperinflation. Okay, hyperinflation and the lower exchange rate. Why? Because the Germany and Zimbabwe were found out printing a lot of money. Okay? So there is excess money supply. Okay, so that's what happened. So please read that point in our textbook, and you may find the story about Germany hyperinflation and how to explain that point by using this diagram. So using the idea of money supply and money demand. So that's the point that we have discussed today. Okay. We still have a lot of points to be discussed here today, but I would like to stop here because I think you need to recap, you need to review the point that we have discussed. Okay, so this is the new point that you need to know. Okay, so the last, not the last point, but the last point for today. Okay, point that you need to memorize. Okay, the relationship between money supply and exchange rate. So how many points we have today? So the first point here, the second point here, and the third point here, and the last point is here. Okay. So these points are interrelated. We need the point 1, 2, and 3 in order to explain point 4. Okay. But it's very interesting and very useful and very awesome if you know this relationship. So now today you can explain to your parent, explain to your friend, upload a content to your Insta or TikTok about the relationship between money supply and exchange rate. Okay, you got it, most.
Yeah, yes, yes, doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now today you are very clear. Oh, there is the effect of money supply and exchange rate, right?
Mm-hmm. The
And
the
now you got it.
Yes,
You got
doctor.
it now.
Yes, doctor.
Yeah, Zakaria, you got it.
Yes,
Uh,
doctor. Yes.
okay. So you may explain to your parents tonight about the effect of money supply and to exchange rate. And Auni, you got it, Auni?
Yes, doctor.
Okay, Sharawali, you got it?
Yes, doctor.
Okay, how about Safika? Safika, are you
Yes,
there? Okay,
yes,
and Alia?
Yes,
Alia?
doctor. Yeah,
Okay,
doctor.
all right. So Alia, please conclude the last point, the relationship between money supply and exchange rate in a sentence.
What I
Okay.
right. What I understand the last about between money supply with
Uh,
exchange rate.
uh,
Um, um, wait, doctor.
okay. So what is your point? What is the relationship between money supply and exchange rate?
What I got when money supply have when money supply increase, the
Okay.
e dollar per euro will be
Okay. The exchange rate,
decreased.
yeah.
Nah,
Okay.
when money supply decrease, the
Uh,
the dollar euro will increase.
okay. So $E per euro is the exchange rate, right?
Yeah, effect
So,
money supply and exchange
but
rate. Yeah.
why when money supply increase, the exchange rate decrease, and otherwise, why? So why? So why? So Afini, please explain why. Why Afini?
Doctor, can you please
Sorry.
soalan? Minta doktor ulang balik soalan tadi.
Okay, soalan tadi. Why uh, money supply increase and then exchange rate decrease, and when money supply decrease, exchange rate increase. Why?
Because when money supply increase, the interest rate will decrease. So it will weaken the exchange rate. So the exchange rate will depreciate.
Okay.
Same goes to when money supply decrease. Yeah.
Okay.
Contract. I mean, yeah.
Oh, thank you, Alia. So I hope everybody got the point as what Alia have. So I would like to put exercise here. So your new exercise is that, okay, explain figure 4.7, okay, figure 0.7 by using figure 4.8 and figure 4.9. So this is your new exercise. You got it, Zakaria?
Yes,
Okay.
doctor.
Right. Explain figure 4.7 by using figure 0.8 and figure 4.9. Okay. If you may explain this point, then you get understand the point that we discussed today. Okay. You got it, Zakaria? Okay.
Yes,
Zakaria,
doctor.
are you there?
Yes, doctor, I get it.
Okay. So I think well, my iPad is running out of battery, so I need to recharge it. So next week we going to discuss further about this point by looking at the case for the long run. For the long run. So this is for next week. Okay. So next week we will meet face to face as our last meeting via face to face. Okay. And we will have time for discussing the case for the long run. Okay. So now let's have uh, 20 minutes. Okay, let's have 20 minutes for the rest. Okay, 20.
Sorry, doctor.
Yes,
I just want to ask about the exercise question. So the figure 4.7 is in the page 108, right?
yes.
Okay, okay.
Okay, you got it?
Alright. Okay. Thank
Okay,
you, doctor.
okay. So let's take rest for 20 minutes. So we meet again at 10:40. 10:40. Okay? Are you okay?
Okay, doctor. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
Please find or invite at least two members. Okay, it might be your friend or even your parents to join that lecture. Okay, so thank you for today, and inshallah we meet again on 22.
Doctor,
Okay,
can you add me manually?
okay, you are Sarawali, right?
Yes, doctor.